So I want to make this as easy as possible. Hey, I'm Abigail, I do wedding cakes and I'm from London, and in this video I'm going to be talking all about how I whiten my ganache. Now, I've uploaded videos and spoken about this in the past, and it's so funny because I always get questions about it. And currently right now I'm feeling incredibly cozy because it is pouring rain outside and I'm inside and it's officially autumn, which I am loving. Okay, now let's get talking about the ganache. Now you would see I'm just putting everything away. I normally just put everything on the table before I start my day. I'm just cleaning everything away. Now, I always start with pre-made ganache. Now, I would have made my ganache the night before or the day before, but I do like to set it for like around 12 hours minimum. Now, I always cover it just with contact on the cling film, so there's going to be no harsh like skin on top. And you're going to see here that my ganache is set. Like, it's not rock hard because it was quite warm in that room and it's relatively quite warm, but it's set. There's no like gloopiness, it's not trailing or anything like that. It's set and it's forming in clumps. Now, this is where people kind of fall off the edge, is that they're working with freshly made ganache and then trying to make it straight away. I use a ratio of 3:1, so 3 parts chocolate to 1 part double cream, and I just whack it in the microwave. And I don't even, because I can let you in on a tip, because I'm making so much ganache in one go, I'm normally doing 600 milliliters of cream to 1800 grams of white chocolate. Now, this would give me around probably 2 tiers cake. That would be perfectly enough for me. Now, you would have seen I've just put in some titanium dioxide. I get this on Amazon. I will link it down below before I forget. And I'm just going with like a tiny whisk and boiling hot water. This is the trick. It needs to be boiling hot water for it to be able to dissolve properly. This part is super important. If you're not going to mix it and whisk it properly, you're not going to whisk it to like consistency, but you want to make sure that everything is perfectly dissolved. If you're not doing this properly, everything will kind of fall at this point. It's going to have like white spotting, just because the titanium dioxide has not dissolved properly. Now, I know this is not easy to get in some countries, but I'm in the UK, as you can tell from my accent, and it's okay to get from here. Sorry, here's just me reading a message on my phone. So what I'm doing now is I'm just spooning a little bit of ganache into the bowl with the white titanium dioxide. If you can't get titanium dioxide in your country, Color Mill is great, or Ingenious Edibles. They're basically titanium dioxide and they're already pre-colored. I have also done it with kind of putting in a tiny bit of violet inside to kind of cancel out the yellow, but you will get a grey blue ganache, which is not the best. So you would see here I'm just going in and I'm just adding in bit by bit. Sometimes I do like a hand whisk and I just kind of mix everything all together, but it was just a faff. It was just a faff to get the hand whisk out. But as I'm watching this now, I'm really just working so much harder without having the hand whisk. Now, whenever I use the hand whisk, I'm not whisking air into it. It's not beaten ganache, it's not whipped ganache. It's literally just so I can mix all the titanium dioxide inside. Now, at this point, you're loosening up the ganache, which is perfect. It's a great consistency. And because you're loosening it up, you're not necessarily having to heat it in the microwave. Now, I remember posting a video about this and people always said, but wait, we were always told not to add water into ganache. I know. Now, you can add water in because it's already set. You're working with set ganache. The trick is working with set ganache. Make sure that ganache is fully set, and do not veer off that. So in summer, I've had people ask me over on my Instagram, Bloom and Crumb, do you like up the ratio in summer? And I don't. We had a really warm summer this season and I didn't up the ratio to 4:1. I find that whenever I up it to 4:1, I can potentially get even more cracks in my ganache, which is just a bit of a nightmare, because if you hadn't seen, some of the cakes that I do are, I'll insert them here actually, are piped or carved florals, and if I get a crack, it just messes up my design. Now I'm going in, and this is me literally just working on it straight away after I've mixed it together, and I'm going in with a cake that I crumb coated, filled yesterday. Now as you can see, this is not a perfect crumb coat. I literally just want to lock in all of the crumbs at this point, and it's also a little chilly because it's autumn. It is autumn, so the cardigan is going back on. Now, one of the tips with working with ganache is you cannot leave that cake like you can with buttercream, especially because you're just working with the cakes in and out the fridge. Now, we'll do a video all about how to ice a cake with ganache, just because I think ganache by far is the second hardest medium after fondant. I love working with ganache, and I think I've been working with ganache for around 3 years now, for 3 wedding seasons, and I have not looked back ever since. Now when I started, I worked with fondant because that's what everyone did, and then I was like, oh, I actually I'm not great at this, so I switched to buttercream, and then the amount of fear I had delivering my cakes and leaving them in summer. I would drop my cakes at 2 p.m. and my couples would cut them at 8. Nothing is going to last that long. So I thankfully didn't have any crazy mishaps, but with ganache, I just like the peace of mind. Now, I should say, whenever I go through like how to kind of ice a cake properly, I will break down all of my steps, because you would see this, you're like, whoa, that's a lot of ganache that she's putting on. And that's also one of the things that you really shouldn't do. But because my cake wasn't as like straight to start off with, that's why I latched it on, and it's easy to take it back quickly instead of like overdoing it and taking it back slowly, because as you can see, there was so much ganache I straightened off. I'd love to know, are you guys ganache people? Do you love working with ganache? Ganache is very expensive. That's just something you have to factor in. But I love working with ganache because I can get it really white, or I can tone it down, or I can color it. I've worked with like ganache. No, all of my cakes this week are actually all white. One is white and silver, and then another one is like a carved floral ganache cake that I have done, which I'll pop here. This I did on a whim, and this has definitely been one of my most requested designs thus far, and I love it. I really, really love working with this medium. I think it's incredibly, I just think it's so temperamental, but it's so rewarding because you are able to really work with your hands and be able to notice the texture changes and things like that. It is a lot harder to work with ganache in the winter, just heads up, because everything sets so much quicker. But as I said, I whiten with titanium dark so I do it in stages. Now, I've never tried like butter ganache or water ganache. I've never tried those. I've always just stuck to double cream and chocolate, and just worked with a 3-to-1 ratio. I shouldn't mention before, but with the 3-to-1 ratio and with that amount of ganache, that's in like that big bowl, I pop it in for 4 minutes and it is perfect. It doesn't split. It hasn't split. Now, if you overheat it, that's when like the fatty solids get separated. Whenever I'm making vegan ganache, it's a lot more temperamental, and I can definitely do a video on that because that is a whole nother kettle of fish. But if you have a separated ganache, literally all I do is just pop it in the fridge or freezer for a little bit and then just slowly work it back together. I don't add in any more cream or milk or anything like that. Now, I am planning to do more kind of day or week in the life videos, but I have gotten so many questions about ganache, so I thought this would just be so much easier to just have another video that's probably a little bit longer. If you have any questions, please do leave them down below, as I would be happy to answer them. And hopefully I'll be able to answer them. I'm not a ganache master, but this is the only medium I really use predominantly. See you on the next one.